And this is the MLG Game On Invitational, made for the movie Ender's Game, which has announced and given us the Blu-rays. So go ahead and buy that. Ender's Game on Blu-ray, available now in every store in the world. We're jumping into Heavy Rain Ladder Edition, where we're gonna see Kane going up against Hitman. What a match!
What a match!
Hitman replacing, of course, In Control, and dropping one map yesterday to Nathanias. So he has something to prove here today. Also losing to Henderlisk. Kane saying good luck, darling. He did go to Europe, and I'm assuming he's been playing with Stefano a bit. Because he's certainly copying him right now.
Certainly.
Did you play Drunken Boy? No, he did not. Anyway, at the bottom somewhat right hand side of the map, or some would also call it the 5 o'clock position,
Like 5:30 maybe?
5:25 perhaps. Hitman from Team SYF, Sif. And on the top left, just left of 12, so 11:10 or something along those lines, we have from Team My Insanity, Kane. The players are still chatting. Nothing funny has been said yet, so we're not gonna. They would basically have to insult each other. That's what works. That's what works for the tournament, as Desro has well proven over time.
Nexus first. That's cool.
Nexus first. That is cool-ish. I mean, the scout pretty much gives it away, though. If I'm Kane and I see a probe this early, I pretty much assume it's a Nexus first. It's just how it works. When you go for a Nexus first, as a Protoss player, you usually go, drop the pylon on the low ground, and then your probe is already there. So you're like, okay, might as well scout now. Plus, if I'm going for a Nexus first, I need to be safe against early pools. So that if I scout an early pool, I can instead drop a forge first. So lines up pretty well with everything, and that's why the probe shows up at the time it shows up. Hitman producing a forge after the Nexus first, and that is in response to Kane's pool. I'm sure if we had seen Kane go for a hatch first, if Hitman would have allowed, then I guess we could have seen a cannon rush from Hitman. But aside from that, if not, then we would have probably seen a gateway first from Hitman. Instead, it is a forge and a cannon to respond to those 6 links, 4 links, 6 links. Really, that's a little bit of an overkill by Kane. Oh no, it's not 6 links. It's 4 links and a drum going to take the 3rd. Much more acceptable. Even 4 links seems like a lot to me, and the reason is, if your expansion is not getting blocked with a pylon, then you don't really need them, because it's pretty arguable.
Well, his Overlord's already scouted everything anyway, right?
Right, but I mean, he's gonna be using the links to search for pylons later on. But I mean, I guess, I mean, you could make those links later. I guess it punishes Hitman if Hitman doesn't go for the cannon. So don't know. What the fuck is a director bot? Is this a virus that Destiny has? I'm sorry for saying fuck, guys. Oh, said it again.
It's probably an Eve thing.
Okay, keeps popping up. A Neve thing, a director bot.
Yeah, isn't he like in charge of his corporation? Maybe he's the director.
Oh, he's
Or he
so
has directors.
lame. Okay. But I've never seen it pop up before during our casts. Oh well. These 4 links still doing what they do best, which is nothing until they can kill something. They're basically velociraptors. Because did you know, Rob, that velociraptors were actually much smaller than they showed in Jurassic Park?
I did not.
They were chicken-sized. I learned this in White Collar. White Collar, do you know that show?
Yes.
So yeah, there's this guy that owns a velociraptor skull, and Peter, one of the main characters, identifies it, and he's like, "That's a velociraptor. That's cool." But it's tiny, right? But Peter doesn't ask because Peter's too cool. He would already know. So the show was just trying to tell the audience.
It wasn't a baby?
No, it wasn't a baby, yeah. So then Peter goes, most people thought that velociraptors were, the movie industry, and they talk about it. And it's like, no, it's actually like the size of a chicken. And I take anything that any show on TV says for granted and as truth. So
I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true.
Exactly. Why would anyone do that? Oracle coming out. And it what? Mistakes were made. Hitman is trying to play a macro game here. This is a macro build. That's without a doubt. This is the sand build, which is also the build that Minigun uses. Which is also the build that a lot of people use these days, actually. Not the greatest Oracle in the world, but it's not gonna die, and that matters. For 3 kills is okay-ish.
Isn't that a really good Punisher core, or is that normal for this build?
That might be normal for this build, or it might just be greedy. I mean, it's not gonna matter this game. The Void Ray out is the main component of this build, plus the cannon being walled off there. That means it's gonna take a million billion circlings to kill that cannon, and it's gonna take infinite roaches to kill the Void Ray. Except even infinite roaches may not be able to kill the Void Ray.
I have a feeling they wouldn't be able to kill Void Ray.
Well, if you think about infinite roaches, right? Think about infinite roaches on this map. Infinite roaches.
Or they would stack up high enough.
Ah, wouldn't they?
Would they?
Would they not? Would they not?
Would they though? Because like scale-wise, Void Rays would be much higher than we show right here.
Well, infinite roaches would eventually stack up to the height of a Void Ray and kill it. So it would take infinite roaches to kill that Void Ray. Not gonna happen. So that's the main concept behind this. The Oracle's basically just to poke in and do whatever damage it can, because the Protoss has the extra time to do that before producing a Void Ray to be safe, in order to take that third. It can also be, instead of an Oracle, perhaps 1 or 2 Phoenix. That might delay the Void Ray a little bit, making the build a little bit riskier, but it also gives you better air control, kills the OVs, and can do a little bit more damage onto drone lines.
Is it weird that Kane hasn't taken a 4th yet since he scouted the 3rd a while ago?
Plus, it's good against Bina. What?
Is it weird that Kane hasn't taken a 4th yet since he scouted the 3rd like so long ago?
I mean, he's gonna swarm host those, so he probably just wants to try to contain. It is a little bit weird, actually, now that you mention it, Rob. Let's look at the units tab. Kane has 8 queens, so that's where a lot of his money has been going. He is on 73 drones, which is not too bad at all. So I think we're gonna see I hope we see a Queen Swarm host push, or maybe even a Nidus. Queens are fantastic against Void Rays, Rob. I always say this.
They're the best Zerg unit, Zerg ground unit, right?
They're the best anti-air Zerg, correct. Yeah, how sad is that? Pretty sad, right? Because Corruptors are supposed to be anti-air, but they lose to almost every air unit. So anyway, that's a talk for a different day, I think. Hitman trying to push out here. 4 Void Rays is more than most people would make, I think, with this build, unless he went for double Stargate. Did he go for double Stargate?
He has 5 and he has 2
Oh, okay, yeah, he went for double Stargate, so
2 Robos on the way.
that's a variation of this build. This is very minigun-ish. And taking a quick 4th. I mean, again, I don't know how much I like Hitman trying to play this style, because it's not to his strength, right? He's a very, very, very good all-in aggressive player, and he is playing in an area that he's by no means an expert on. So this would be really, I would have to think it would be pretty embarrassing for Kane if he lost this. I've heard him, you know, I've heard him say that Hitman's perhaps not the best player. And I don't think anyone thinks that Hitman is a good macro player. Like anyone. Destiny yesterday was just saying how Hitman might be like not even Grandmaster if he played macro every game.
Is he just gonna go snipe the hive?
Having said that, Hitman is probably the best all-in player in North America, at least for Protoss. This fuck director bot. Hell Camp is up and about. We are currently rape caging. What? Is that a word? All enemy posts. No, it says rape caging. We need more domes on Dingo's fleet. We'll provide bridge from 1V.
It's Eve.
It's Eve?
Yeah.
Okay. How do I shut it down?
I have no idea.
We'll have to deal with that next. And by we I mean me. He can recall here, but he's gotta be pretty careful. That Mothership Core cannot be sitting in front of the Void Rays. Almost at any point. Beautiful creep spread by Kane. Kane is actually doing everything that he needs to not lose the game at least. He's playing this as safe as it gets. And I know for a fact like Kane doesn't necessarily like this style with defensive storm hosts. Whenever he gets storm hosts, he's a little bit more aggressive with them. But I feel like this is more of Kane saying, what? You want to play macro against me? Okay. Well, let's, I mean, oh, fine. Double Spire all the way. Double Robo, of course, for Hitman. It's going to have to be countered some way, somehow. With this many Void Rays on the field, making Corruptors useful is going to be incredibly difficult. I'm surprised against this unit composition, Rob, though we haven't seen Infestors from Kane.
Just to fungal the Void Rays?
I mean, like, before the claws I popped out, for 16 minutes of this game, I want you to look at the army of Hitman when it stops for 1 second.
Yeah, all the Void Rays I know will clump.
Not just the Void Rays, everything else. Yeah. So, like, pretty much 2 fungals. Look at that fungal right there. That was the entire army if there was a fungal there. And of course a chain fungal would kill the entire army as well. Great abducts, 3 Vipers, and Hitman at 17 minutes in does not have High Templars. If this was Minigun, Minigun would have had High Templars at 12 minutes. If that.
He started.
He might have no units, but he would have High Templars. If he needs High Templars, they're there. And that's how Chad Jones operates.
Can't start the Infestor tech then.
Yeah, and Pathogen Glance is going to be important for the later stages of the game as well. But yeah, Hitman still with no High Templars. Now the High Templar tech, what do you call that thing?
The Templar Archives?
Templar Archives. Painfully obvious name for a building. It's gonna be finished. So now he will be able to drop to make High Templars. I am deeply concerned about Hitman's ability to control this army though. This is a lot more units than he's used to. So we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. The Void Ray count is not increasing. Mothership is the right call. It's funny because Hitman is doing all the right things. He's a really smart player. But all of the right things he's doing them either late or late. And not the Mothership. I think the Mothership's at a sensible time compared to other Protosses. Minigun would have probably had it a few minutes ago though.
This will be his first Warp Prism harass, right?
Yep, that's really his first Warp Prism harass. Not okay. Poor Virgin Warp Prism fall in there. And Storm Scene Research, still no Templars. I'm not sure, like, this is the kind of thing that makes me think maybe Hitman's, like, you know, he's not confident in this stage of the game, I don't think. It's like there's no reason to not warp in Templars already, to not have them with this army.
Like he knows.
It only makes it harder to control though.
Right. like he knows what he's supposed to do. He just hasn't done it enough to.
Yeah, I think so.
automatically
Yeah,
do
exactly.
everything.
No, and even if he didn't, I think he's one of the few players that's smart enough to figure it out in real time. He's just not gonna be like comfortable with it or comfortable with the army composition. I think that's his big problem here.
He did go double fleet beacon.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's a mistake. The mothership is out. That'll help. But the main thing here, when you have this unit composition, an oracle's nice for spotting, for revelation. Tempests are good as well, but all is adding more complexity to an army that I'm sorry to say once again, Hitman is probably not comfortable with.
This is the army that I get when I was playing Protoss.
Right. So the feedbacks here are going to be pretty important. It's feedback versus abducts. They have the exact same range, yes. And the mothership can sit a little bit further behind than the units and still give cloak to all of them. There it is. But the High Templar is lagging behind, so already one thing getting abducted for free. It's all about High Templar positioning here. Observers or revelation would make it so that Hitman is able to know where the abducts are going to be coming from. You see the High Templars are lagging behind once again. Those are free abducts if Kane identifies it. You have to be extremely careful with the positioning for Protoss when fighting in like this. It's such a difficult battle for both sides, and this is a part that excites me the most about this matchup. Where most people think, oh, Swarmhouse boring. It's like such a tactical, such a strategical game.
It's like
It's like chess,
yeah.
only a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But yeah, the High Templars are all that matters here. The feedbacks, the storms, and he's not doing it. Needs to pull one High Templar back and feed. No, yeah, you see, like that shouldn't happen. Good recall though, great thinking. Again, a very smart player. Can't give him enough props for that. But yeah, just needs a few more fingers or something. Let's see.
He does have a hell of a bank.
And that's good. Oh wow, music was disabled. Yeah, and if we look at the APM tab, like that's part of it.
He doesn't need those.
No, not at all. No, the cinders are worthless at this point. Like if we look at the APM tab, I think this is what's limiting Hitman right now. How do you open the APM tab, by the way? Because I opened the APM thing. How do you close the bar in the middle?
I think that's control. No.
Okay.
It's control C. Yeah, control C.
So anyway, 162 APM could be a limiting factor. He's spiking pretty high here and there, but he's gonna need all of that APM and precision more than that during the fights, during the positioning. Those High Templars, there has to be a High Templar willing to move in front. You can't clump all your High Templar against Fungal. I would argue it's easier for Zerg to fungal and for the Protoss to mess up, but I also would argue that the Protoss just has to focus on High Templars, where Zerg has to focus on 2 spellcasters potentially. Plus, I don't know, it's just so many things on both sides that you have to or should be doing here. This Hydras by Kane are really strange. They might get something done. The Tempest is out. They might kill this base actually, but they're really just mostly a waste. In a game like this where all that matters is cost efficiency, I hate relying on units like Hydras that are just not cost efficient. I mean, yeah, but I never saw him used before. So where were they before? I'm pretty sure he had to have had just made them. Now, I don't mind making 5 or 6 Hydra to just wait for War Prism harass, if that's something your opponent's doing. But those were pretty useless. And the stalkers here also being sacrificed by the looks of it.
3 more Stargates.
A little bit less understandable, I guess. Those are blink stalkers. Those could get in the mineral line and at least be somewhat annoying. Changelings are actually fantastic. They're the unspoken hero of this matchup. If Kane can get some changelings onto what's his face's Hitman's army, if Kane can actually, like, if some of those changelings survive without Hitman noticing, that's actually gigantic. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, they grant you vision to abduct and know what you can and can't abduct, which is normally not what you get. And abduct is one of the longest range spells, but you know it only goes as long as your vision goes. So sometimes you have to risk the Viper, and if your Protoss opponent has Revelation or an Observer, it can get pretty tough. Now Hitman going for Revelation and Tempests, and this is the final piece of the puzzle on the Protoss end. I think that Hitman has effectively gotten every unit that he needs in order to defeat the Swarmhost Turtle. Perhaps more Tempests would be good.
He has like 5 Stargates.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So carriers wouldn't be the worst thing either. But look at this, like, he's being sloppy. He just lost the high temper to Locusts. That should not happen. You have a mothership sitting right there. That should not happen at all. The Oracle gets abducted without using Revelation. Revelation's huge here. If you cast Revelation on the Infestors or the Vipers or even Corruptors, then that's what allows you to kill them with Tempests. He instead cast a Revelation on the static defense, and the Zerg's not gonna give a shit about that, to be completely honest. Now, having said that, Hitman does have a gigantic bank. This is really nice, and part of that is he hasn't been making any efforts to harass with Zealots all game, and I don't really mind that at all. That's fine. He could make a lot of cannons, and I wouldn't mind that. Kind of split the map with static defense, and then the Tempest will outrange anything in the game. Am I correct, Rob?
Yes.
So then he should be able to start pushing forward. We'll see. An Observer to clear creep, and this is definitely what he wants. I wouldn't mind cannons being established where that creep is being taken. The Observer gets abducted, and that is gas. Any gas is gas, so gas, don't want to lose gas. Is there a second Oracle on the way? I don't see any. There's 2 Oracles on the map. I don't know where they are yet. They're there. Okay. So he's probably waiting for energy to cast Revelation here. Here they come. Okay, again on the static defense. Not what you want to do. I mean, even if Revelation automatically killed those 2 spines, it wouldn't have mattered, would it? It does give vision of units around it, I'm assuming. Oh, this is a great Revelation right here. Now, if he can focus fire units that are Revelationed there, like if he can focus fire the likes of Vipers, that'll be fantastic. If he can focus fire the Infestors, that'll be great. Let's not forget you have the longest range unit in the game. Now we see that Kane has to reposition his entire army, go behind his static defense, and basically take 3 shots, or allow Hitman to take 3 shots onto his static defense for now. Now he's pulling forward quite literally, and gonna get a couple Tempests. Again, the High Temper is not in the best position ever. The High Temper, no. The High Temper should be in front, but still in the Mothership's cloak. Right, that's what should be going on right here. Revelation not being casted, and more stuff getting abducted, including the Mothership. I don't think I've seen a single feedback yet by Hitman. And the other really cool thing that Kane is doing, that well, in essence Hitman has allowed him to do to some extent, is he clumps up all of his Vipers with mass overseers. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's really hard to feedback, right? And there are 3, 6, 7, 8 Vipers, so Kane is always going to be abducting something.
Yeah. And like 2/3 of a page, so 16.
Yeah, most of those units are overseers. Of course, it's a little bit weird, a little bit lame, because You know, those overseers cost gas as well. That's the crappy part. If they didn't cost gas, this would be the most common strategy ever when turtling swarm hosts. But it's still pretty good. Pretty smart by Kane here. I like it. And yeah, a lot of Vipers. He has successfully taken his side of the map. No player yet able to take the middle of the map. Hitman remaking the mothership, but well, I don't know. His army looks small, to be completely honest. 72 probes might be too much at this point in time. He could sacrifice a lot of the probes that are mining minerals.
Well, he has like an entire base that's not mining anymore. It's all mined out.
Oh wow, yeah,
So
yeah.
they're
He has
not
an
doing
AFK
anything at
base.
all.
It's funny because he just dropped the Dark Shrine with one of the probes there,
Yeah.
and still didn't move them or sacrifice the others. So yeah, that would help Rob.
Yeah.
Great,
He is getting the carrier upgrade.
great catch.
Wait, he has 2 fleet beacons and he's getting both upgrades on the same one.
Oh well,
Oh well.
happens. Hitman. He's playing a long game. I can't say that it's better than I expected, as far as his macro game goes. He's made a lot of mistakes in his army control, but his army composition is pretty much what you want. Revelation being casted, but so many, again, where's the feedbacks? Off position, getting picked up by locusts.
I think you're
Unfortunately.
better off just storming at this point. If you
Yeah,
land
storming
one,
would be fine
since
too.
Everything's clumped.
Yeah,
That's a lot of changelings.
indeed. That is a lot of changelings, and that's free vision. So now killing the changelings. Mothership on the way could get abducted. I mean, there's always an angle where you can probably abduct something if you know exactly where everything is, right? Yeah, Kane just doing a pretty good job here. He has creep all over the map. I wouldn't mind if he started pushing a little bit towards the middle of the map, maybe to take a base and to siege a base of Hitman at the same time. At this point in time, Kane is, I think, far ahead. He has much more gas. He has been far more cost efficient. Has he been far more cost efficient? I would think so. Let's look at
yes.
yes. Okay. So yeah, Kane has been far more cost efficient, despite Hitman pretty much going for a good army from the start. I just haven't seen him land any feedback that has made me go, wow, feedback, or any storm, or just be cost efficient at all, unfortunately.
So Hitman has all the air upgrades and he has carrier upgrades, but no supply. Do you think you should just send all those MCDs to suicide and
The
replace
probes,
the
yeah,
carriers?
yeah. I mean, he
Probes.
should have sent those a long time ago.
They're still here.
Yeah, they're just AFK. I mean, the bigger the army, the better your army retention is going to be. And the oracles get abducted once again. They do cast Revelation, so if Hitman can focus fire the Vipers, that'll be big.
It's pretty cool that Kane's sending the changelings like with the locust. So he has to like target them. He has to kill the locust before he can manually target them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The changelings are really good here. The mothership could get abducted, especially because he has full vision of everything. I mean, he's on creep as well. But oh, those high templars are the mothership. Nope, the mothership moved out of the. Do you see that? The mothership moved out of the cloaking range of the high templars. They'll instantly die to locusts. This is again the kind of mistake that Hitman has been doing this game. Unfortunately, he's just, I don't think, used to controlling this army. Like, yeah.
He's switching to void rays. Is that?
That's YOLO. That's saying, okay, I guess I can't control this. I guess I'll just attack move you. Yeah, Void Rays. I mean, Void Rays are not gonna win a battle that this army can't win. Kane is just much more experienced at this and much better. God, I'm good. So Void Rays are just gonna be a YOLO unit. I mean, Let's attack move instead. This is not working. Yeah, see? Thank you, Hitman, for making me look like much less of an asshole. An honest and accurate caster. You're doing spectacularly, darling. That's not true.
He's still alive.
He's still alive, but I mean, Kane's strategy is to not attack, right? So yeah, it's pretty hard to not stay alive in this time. Kane could just attack until Hitman dies. And he would die. That's how far ahead he is, and that should never be the case with this army composition. But yeah, as Hitman said, this is new to him. This is not the army composition that he's comfortable with. He's comfortable with the small unit, the small groups of units. He's really good at microing those. He's really good at making decisions with those. Not so much with this sort of play. And that goes for everyone, by the way. It's not like, oh, this fucking Americans, they can only play like cheats. No, not really. Like, there's Hitman type players everywhere. There's Hitman type players in Pro League. There's Hitman type players in the GSL Code S. And even if people know what to expect from them, they're still pretty hard to deal with.
Feedback, but I think you got mostly overseer.
Oh, feedbacks! Oh, finally feedbacks! Woo! Good fungals by Kane. Fungal actually outranges feedback. So it's a really strange dance with this army composition. It's a really cool thing to see when you have like minigun controlling it, for example. Like, he's just so good at that. I'm sorry to keep bringing him up. Yeah, the high burst. Got it back there. There's not enough Colossi to stalemate the Locusts even, so Hitman's gonna continue to take damage here without a mothership and without enough Colossi. He's just gonna continue to take damage from the Locusts and eventually die right here, right now. He's out of gas as well.
Yeah, and he's on one mining base. There's so many mining.
Yeah, and there's the mothership. All the high first go down again. Again, like fungal outranges feedback. Especially if you use the edge of the fungal. But Tempest outrange everything, and then there's Revelation, and there's the stalemates with Colossi and Locusts. And overall, I think it's a really interesting matchup when you have two good players doing it. I wouldn't like to cast it all day long, but a lot of thought goes into it, and a lot of analysis can be made throughout the entire game about what each player is doing and why, I think. So, good unit composition, good decision making by Hitman. Clearly a smart dude, not experienced perhaps in the late game, and I don't think we'll see him try that again in game 2.
Yeah, I hope
which
not.
we will see in just 90 seconds.